Hey everybody, how y'all doing? I'm here to give you guys my first recap and impressions on Quan Zhi Gao Shou. In other words, you could call it full-time expert the King's Avatar, or just King's Avatar, which is on episode 1. Apparently, I heard and did some research that this is actually from a Chinese light novel in the video game genre. And the way how I watched this episode, etc., you'd be surprised at what you'll hear from my mouth or something. I think this is how certain video game genres should be done, you know? In terms of like finding in a certain way of a realistic approach of a real world where professional gamers are like gaming on their laptop or computer, you know? And this game is actually called Glory and it is on PC or something. So if anything else, let's just get this started. I'll try to get into like some certain detail as best as I can. So please hold on to your seats and try not to smack me, hit me, punch me left and right. So if anything else, let's go. We have to it that there's this mighty player that's known as what? He's known to be the god player or pro player because of his skills. And his name is Zhi Gao or Ye Shu. It's really hard for me to pronounce the name in a certain way because like I don't speak Chinese, but you know this anime is actually in Chinese language, which is pretty cool, and I actually liked it. But because of certain reasons or certain circumstances that he's been put into, he's kicked out of a certain team, which is to my surprise and shock, and he has to announce his retirement once he terminates his contract. But eventually, you know, I think like after what's been going on and what's been happening with him, he could barely feed himself, and he's very, very generous, you know. He's actually like this god player or something, Ye Shu or something. I think that's his name. It's what I'm reading from the synopsis apparently. And of course, like when I see him play and trying to grab a job at an internet cafe and ends up playing around for this other girl, which she lost 52 rounds, and I'm like, holy crud, that's like freaking crazy, you know, in a row. I mean, if I lost that many times, I think I would have rage quit right there, honestly, if I've been playing for so long. And she's been playing for 5 years, I believe. I forgot her name, but she's apparently the boss of the internet cafe or something whatsoever, you know, which is pretty cool. So overall, like when I looked at the scenes here and there, it was pretty cool, not too bad, pretty slick, you know. And of course, he decides to come back to playing Glory, which is on server 10. And I believe the server opens up for its 10th server apparently at midnight. And she decides to test him by saying like, oh, I want you to stay pulling all-nighter, you know, that kind of thing. Not to mention, I think there was another thing too involving like her being a gamer for 5 years or something and a manager of a certain cafe. And of course, Ye Shu, I think, the god player, if anything, he is starting from scratch right now, and it is pretty tough for him. And I won't deny, like, when you start from scratch on a new character or so, it just gets a little bit difficult. But you know, I think like it's realistic in a way how players who has a lot of experience from a long time ago to come back up in a realistic way and trying to grab themselves back on the top shows a lot. Not to mention he becomes part of this raid group where the leader is actually like using the newbies, as especially him, to try to like how am I supposed to say it? Use him as bait, and then he could take all the loot for himself. And I think I've seen that a lot lately. Some people will try to hide their real motives and decide to use other people as bait to get everything for themselves. But Ye Shu, the god player, actually saw through this and says, I'm taking all the loot for myself, you know? And when it rolled to the credits, and I think that song was pretty slick and so forth. I remember listening to a lot of Chinese pop, rock, and rock, you know, and sing, and of course other Chinese songs, and I think it was pretty cool. The way how the song was played during the rolling of the credits, it was pretty slick. I think I would like to find that song. Not to mention there was a post-credit scene where he's actually building up right now, and then she thinks that he's really ridiculous, you know? Those two actually are famous players. I think she's Mu Qing, she says, and he says, I'm Ye Xing or something, the famous pro player, you know, that kind of thing, etc. And he's trying to find a job at this internet cafe, which the boss decides to test him, like, you want to be a supervisor, etc. You gotta pull an all-nighter, that kind of thing. And you know what's the funny thing is? He's 25 years old, you know? That kind of thing. I forgot to mention that detail from the very beginning of my recap when I was continuing, but I apologize. So yeah, it's just like this professional player who's been playing on a certain team or playing on a certain game gave up his account and he's being replaced, you know, because he's no longer useful, and he ends up finding a job at the internet cafe, and he's starting from scratch, building his way back up to glory as a professional player, you know, that kind of thing. And I am looking forward to that because, like, when I looked at video game professionals in tournaments these days, you know, I never see certain anime actually do that. But now I think this is my first time watching a certain anime that's from a Chinese light novel, surprisingly, etc. And from what I heard, I think it's completed when I did my research, and it's starting to be translated right now, and it has over like 500 chapters apparently, which is to my shock, you know, etc. Aside from all that, we have to it that in this anime or something, it's showing how like how certain video games work, and how like raids are done possibly, and people scamming each other, and how you start from scratch, etc. Anyways, an overall plot, if I have to say it in simple words, sorry for like I'm rambling on and giving you a very confusing look, is that one player who was kicked off a team, has no income, that's 25 years old, is starting from scratch at a certain internet cafe, pulled an all-nighter, and he's possibly trying to rise back up to fame or glory, in other cases, you know? And the game is called Glory, apparently. Wow. Anyways, I look forward to this series, you know? I think this is just like how like certain video game professional realistic way should be done, like in terms of professional video gaming should be done. And I look forward to see how this goes, because there were actually some terms I am not familiar with, especially some certain Chinese language. And I actually am looking forward to see how this goes, you know? And I heard from a friend or so that this might have more than just one season, but we have yet to actually be confirmed about that. So if anything else, that's about it, people. I look forward to see how this goes, you know? And until then, I'm Alpha Zero. Have a good day. And I also forgot to mention too is like episode 2 is still have its raws out until it's subbed out. I'll be sure to put up an episode recap about that and my impressions on that too. All right, yeah. All right. Peace out. Bye bye. Sorry for stuttering for so much. Later.